There is a massive scandal going on in the world of finance right now, and it seems that most legacy media outlets are just outright ignoring it. This is a story filled with intrigue, money, and now the death, potential suicide, or murder of a chief executive of a massive brand that you will no doubt know. We are, of course, talking about Bed Bath & Beyond, their pump and dump that we've seen over the last month or so, and this brand new development which has shocked an awful lot of people. We're going to explain exactly what has happened over recent months, why it's happened, and then what exactly is going on now. So back at the start of 2021, we saw meme stock madness really take root and absolutely explode. And of course, it was a series of massive pumping schemes led by a bunch of different Reddit communities, but most notably Wall Street Bets. The most popular two stocks that actually saw those pumps were, of course, GameStop and AMC, but loads of other companies saw some little pumps along the way as well. BlackBerry saw a little bit of a pump, Wish got a bit of a pump, and of course, Bed Bath & Beyond got a little bit of one too. Bed Bath & Beyond was not a major target though, and it really didn't see much continued hype, and in the end, it all sort of fizzled away and turned out to be a whole load of nothing, and it was mostly just forgotten about. That all changed though as August of 2022 came around and we saw a massive second wave of meme stock madness, with the stock being pumped from around $4 or so per share all the way up to over $26 through mid-August. That's an increase of almost 500% based on really no good news for the company at all. It was a pretty big pump, to be honest, and it sent the value of the company up above a $2 billion market cap. To cut a long story very short, this was the same story as always. Attention begets attention, the share price increases and that begets more share price increases, and the FOMO begets more FOMO as the price keeps on rising. We saw a bunch of Reddit posts like this one here where someone said that they would buy one singular share of Bed Bath & Beyond for every single upvote that his post got, and in the end he ended up putting a $50,000 loan into the stock as well. Now, along with this more typical meme stock action, we also got some interesting news. We got this random news story randomly popping up a couple of weeks ago about this random uni student who supposedly made $110 million in profit trading Bed Bath & Beyond as the meme stock took off. Now, the headlines across almost all legacy media outlets are basically the same. He's just a run-of-the-mill university student who made $110 million trading on this meme stock. But of course, if you read the details, it is not at all what it seems. He's not just some random uni student at all, because he was able to raise $25 million to go and make this trade from friends and family, and he then just gambled it all on a meme stock. And it's insane that he's getting this kind of attention because, plain and simple, he's a trust fund boy with rich parents and delusions of grandeur. Now, with these kind of news articles, it's almost always the case that these people actually pay these organizations like Bloomberg and the Financial Times to write these articles for them and to get them some attention. And then they start to see other places report on these stories as well. In short, though, this is the kind of madness that we saw from this meme stock pump of Bed Bath & Beyond. And it really shouldn't be surprising that we've seen another meme stock pump now, and we will see more in the future as well. Now, the problem with all of this is that the company is practically worthless at this point because the company is a dumpster fire and in serious trouble. Their sales have collapsed, their profits are in dire positions, and they have no real chance of recovering their prior business. If that's the case, then if the company is in awful state, why on earth did it get picked as the pump and dump target? Well, that was of course thanks to Ryan Cohen, who is a massive shareholder of GameStop and actually owns around about 13% of that entire company. So of course, Wall Street Bets and all of the other subreddits based on meme stocks are big fans of his. He's sort of an activist investor who is able to create hype for the companies he's involved with, and on this occasion, he bought loads of call options based on the share price of this company skyrocketing, as well as just large positions in the company itself. The problem is, lots of people are starting to make the accusations that this was actually tantamount to insider trading, to manipulating the stock market, and that it was basically just a massive pump and dump scheme. Now, honestly, to call this a pump and dump really doesn't seem too ridiculous to me at all. Ryan Cohen jumped into a company that was in massive turmoil. He used his exposure to drive the price up without actually increasing the prospects of the company at all, and then made loads of money by exiting by selling all of his positions. As a result of this, the stock price then collapsed after it rose, and it is now still higher than it was about a year ago, but it's down 60% from that peak. And people seem to forget that most of the volume traded for these hype stocks is done at peak prices, not at bottom prices. And this is a zero-sum game. That means for every person like Rowan Cohen who makes $60 million from this pump and dump, well, there are millions of people who lose $60 from this pump and dump too. Now, there is, though, a brand new development because most of this that I've talked about so far is old news, as I mentioned earlier on, and you've probably seen a couple of things about it in the news today. The CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond, Gustavo Arnau, has died after falling from his skyscraper in New York the other day. Now, this happens just a few days after Bed Bath & Beyond put out this rescue plan that was supposed to try and recover the company, and a lot of people have been waiting for it for a long time because now Bed Bath & Beyond has far more investors than it used to. Now, of course, the company is performing terrible, and the CEO was actually fired from his role about a month ago as well because of how badly their sales were. This CFO, this Chief Financial Officer, has been with the company since the pandemic started, but last month he started to sell $55,000 of his shares, about a quarter of his entire position, conveniently at the point where the share price had just exploded. It turned out that actually he and a bunch of other Bed Bath & Beyond executives are under investigation for market manipulation and for insider trading in an investigation that has been going on for months into 2022 so far. Now, I don't really want to speculate onto the nature of his death because the simple fact is I don't know what happened, and I don't think even the police are sure what happened as of yet, but there are lots of rumors, as you would expect from this high profile of a death and with these circumstances that it happened in. There are people saying that this might have been suicide as he's waiting to just be caught for his insider trading. And there are some other people even suggesting that this might be murder from people trying to hide the insider trading scandal. I'm not going to try and claim that I have any concrete idea on what happened because I plain don't. What is clear though is that this story is definitely not over, and that even if this share price pump is done, which I think it is, we are still going to be hearing about this story, about the SEC and their prosecuting of these potential insider traders, and with future meme stock pumps which will of course come and go in the future as well. Now, I personally don't touch meme stocks at all, simply because it doesn't fit my risk tolerance, and I focus on minimizing losses as opposed to trying to maximize my gains. I don't have anything particularly against people who do participate in meme stock trading, and I 100% understand the sentiment behind a lot of them, of this anti-establishment idea that the financial markets are rigged against the common man, because plain and simple, they actually are. I do just urge anyone who's interested in these meme stock pumps to be a little bit careful and be aware that when you make money, it's coming at the expense of someone else, and that's usually not a billion-dollar hedge fund. It's usually a retail trader who bought your bag. I do, of course, expect to annoy a whole bunch of people with making this video, and to be honest, it's basically just impossible to avoid that with these type of topics, and the same was true for when GameStop was seeing its pump and for AMC as well. Some people, like this guy behind me here, put out an article saying that this is certainly not a pump and dump no matter what anyone says. Other people, like this guy here, put out an article saying that it explicitly is a pump and dump no matter what anyone says. Frankly, I do lean on the latter half of the argument here. This does seem like a sinister operation made to maximize profits at the expense of the common man who doesn't have all the information. It also seems to be driven by billionaires like Ryan Cohen or uni students who are friends with billionaires and can raise $25 million in capital without any kind of trouble. These people bought prices when they were at rock bottom, drove the price up through FOMO and through this attention, and then they got out at the top and made millions in doing so. Retail investors got tricked by the likes of Ryan Cohen, and they thought that he would support the company forever and drive a new mother of all squeeze, as people had dreamed of seeing with GameStop and AMC in the past as well. But in the end, nothing like that happened. Ryan just sold his positions and kept his profits while other people lost out. As I mentioned earlier, there is a SEC investigation into looking at all this, but the details aren't public at this point for obvious reasons. If the CFO's death was suicide, then I wouldn't be at all surprised if the case against Bed Bath & Beyond and their executives is looking likely to see some success, and frankly, I hope it does too. I also hope that if it does, we see Ryan Cohen get caught up in all this as well, because he's not the benevolent investor that people want him to be. I personally don't buy at all that this was just a standard trade for him. There had to be something sinister going on behind the scenes.